What if? It's a question fans ask all the time in sports. It acts as a security blanket for the future or as a torture device for the present. Drafting player X instead of player Y is a common what if, but what if the same thing could be said about injuries? A collection of NBA stars and potential packed players had their careers ended or held back because of these unfortunate circumstances. These players were either cut down in their own prime or never saw their potential come to a hilt at the professional level. In a nutshell, these are the players whose fans deserve to see at their healthy best throughout their playing careers. Brandon Roy, Penny Hardaway, Tracy McGrady, Derrick Rose, but also Grant Hill. Grant Hill may have managed to reinvent himself later in his career with the Phoenix Suns as a defensive-minded glue guy and a veteran presence who can be relied on both on and off the floor. But that's not how fans should remember him. Rewind back, truth be told, Hill was a superstar synthesis of LeBron, Carmelo, Kawhi, and more, all in the era before their time. He was a point forward in a world where the point forward was still a novelty, not the norm. When Hill entered the NBA, picked 3rd overall out of Duke in 1994 by the Detroit Pistons, he was an instant success. If you're a 90s or 2000s baby like me, you certainly didn't get a chance to appreciate Hill in the moment. Peep this, in his first professional game, he posted 25 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocked shots. That single performance was a harbinger for what was to come during Hill's first years in the league.
Terry, the slash, the jam! Lindsay finds Grant Hill up and in.
Hill ended up sharing NBA Rookie of the Year with Jason Kidd after averaging 19.9 points, 6.4 boards, 5 assists, and 1.8 steals. He also made history during that year as he became the first rookie to lead an NBA All-Star fan balloting with 1,289,585 votes. Over the course of 6 seasons in Detroit, Hill averaged 21.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game. He was truly in the realm of guys like Magic Johnson and LeBron as far as being an all-around do-everything player. In the middle of that stretch came Hill's best season as a pro. At the age of 24, Hill quietly finished 3rd in the 96-97 MVP race while averaging 21.4 points, 9 rebounds, and 7.3 assists a game. The only other player under 25 to finish in the top 10 was Shaq, positioning Hill to ride the post-Jordan wave on the horizon.
To get this, Iverson obviously is. Grant leans and scores. The Pistons really don't have a center in the court. Grant nice inside somehow.
There was no answer for Hill. Just like there's never an answer to the best players in the league today, not even the man known as Mutombo, who was at the peak of his powers during this time, could stop Hill. I had never seen anything like that, said retired Hawks guard Steve Smith during an episode of NBA TV's Open Court. We played against you guys in the playoffs 2 or 3 times and we're saying we can't stop him from getting to the bucket. With Dikembe Mutombo behind us, you're dunking on Dikembe with ease. It wasn't until 3 years later when Hill's ankle problems began. On April 15, 2000, 7 days before the start of the playoffs, Hill sprained his left ankle in a game against the Sixers. I was missing practice to the point where we had a nationally televised game against Philadelphia and I just pulled myself. My ankle was just killing me. We get back, we get an MRI. They say it's a bone bruise, said Hill in a podcast. He continued to play until the first round playoff series against the Miami Heat, in which he injured his ankle even worse, and Hill was forced to leave halfway through game 2. He said, I felt a pop in the second quarter, continued on in the third quarter and couldn't go on, he said. When we got back, we found out it was broken. When asked why he didn't sit out, Hill said he had felt like he needed to live up to the certain standard. In Detroit, that standard was Isaiah Thomas, the Hall of Fame point guard who scored 25 points in 1 quarter on an injured ankle against the Lakers in the 1988 finals. Hill was initially selected for the 2000 Olympic team but could not play due to the ankle injury. That ankle injury would prove to be a major liability for many years to come. And if you hoop, you know the ankle hurts.
Mike Abdenauer, the trainer, is with him, and the Pistons are going to have to call a timeout because
Isaiah's coming back in the ball game.
It's been the Isaiah Thomas show plus an injury. Isaiah Thomas has put on a brilliant exhibition of shooting despite.
In 2000, Hill got sent to the Orlando Magic in a sign and trade deal that would team him up with another NBA superstar, the aforementioned Tracy McGrady. However, that team up would never fully materialize as the wheels seemingly fell off of Hill. Hill played in only 4 games in his first season with the Magic, 14 games in his second season, and 29 in his third. He was then forced to sit out his entire 4th season in Orlando. In his years after leaving Detroit, he went through 5 different operations on his left ankle.
I broke this bone right here, so imagine cut. That's what happened.
One of which left him with a deadly staph infection that almost took his life. He was hospitalized for a week and had to take intravenous antibiotics for 6 months.
Days after the surgery, my temperature shot up. Called the doctor. Took some fever medication. They took me into intensive care. They're sticking IVs in my arms, and I'm feeling like there's all this pressure on my chest.
In the 04-05 season, Hill returned with a vengeance and started and played 67 games for the Magic. Over the season, Hill averaged 19.7 points, 4.7 boards, and 3.3 assists per game. Fans voted Hill as an All-Star starter again, and he led the Eastern Conference All-Star team to a victory over the West.
Jump shot is better than ever.
Also, after the season, Hill was awarded the Joe Dumars Trophy Award, presented to the NBA Sportsmanship Award winner. The next few seasons saw Hill get hampered by ankle injuries and a sports hernia that was caused by uneven pressure on his feet, due to concerns that he could re-aggravate the injury on his left ankle if it got too much pressure. Hill spent 2 more seasons in Orlando, making himself a serviceable 3-point shooter after spending most of his career subpar from downtown.
They want to have it, they don't get it to him, they get it to Hill. Hill fires it, kind of it goes. It goes!
Understandably, Hill was never the same player after all the ankle problems. The training staff in Phoenix helped Hill play 70 games, 82 games, 81 games, and 80 games respectively in 4 consecutive seasons, the most basketball he played in a decade, and he logged in real minutes at age 36 to help the Suns make a playoff push. Through all his ups and downs, he found the happiness and satisfaction that eluded him earlier in his career. Just going through all that, then coming back, then being a different player, being a role player, I got more satisfaction probably out of that and those experiences than I did prior to that. When I was kind of considered an elite player, I think just having appreciation for being able to do this, Hill said on Open Court. Hill is a true class act and a respected locker room presence, but one can only wonder what his career could have been like if he wouldn't been struck with them injuries. In his prime, Hill was a bona fide star, utilizing his versatility and basketball acumen to exploit weaknesses in opposing players. There wasn't much he couldn't do. He could shoot, he could dunk, he could play defense.
Grant Hill. Oh my!
Bayless slashing inside.
Oh! Collison, he flies up before Grant Hill. Rejected. Wow.
Now looking back on Grant Hill's career, one can only dream of how good he really could have been. What if Hill never got those bad injuries? How would have his career looked like if he would have played with prime T-Mac? Hill and McGrady's game would have meshed well in our opinion. Hill was an all-around facilitator while McGrady was simply a scoring machine, and they would have been hard to deal with. The Eastern Conference was incredibly watered down during that time, as flawed teams like the 76ers and Nets made the finals during those years, so it's conceivable that the Magic would have made a couple finals appearances. However, they would have to run up against a Shaq and Kobe Lakers team or a prime Tim Duncan and company Spurs team. Now, could they have beaten one of those teams for a title? Maybe, but we highly doubt it. So what if Grant Hill never got injured? Our answer to that question is this: Hill is already a Hall of Fame player. However, if he never hurt his ankle, he very well could have been in the top 30 players of all time, or 20.
Bucket George, because that could wake everybody up. And this
Mavs fans get fired up.
By Grant Hill, he's fouled on the play.
Even as it is, Hill has a lot to look back on. There's his crossover and dunk on Scottie Pippen.
Dressed, I think, is the word. Hill and Pippen.
even the best.
There are his outstanding 4 years at Duke, which he led the Blue Devils to back-to-back championships in 1991 and 1992. There's the injury adversity he ultimately overcame in Orlando before reinventing himself in Phoenix. Does Grant Hill ever play the what-if game? We'll never know, so instead we'll play it for him. But in reality, it really doesn't matter if Hill did anything differently. He's an NBA Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it, and no one can take that away from him. And that does it. That's a wrap. Go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. I appreciate the view, and as always, thank you for watching.